Okay, year 10. Now you've downloaded Onshape, I just want to run you through some of the basics of how you use it, what sort of things you can do on Onshape. As you can see, just so happens I've got one on screen, so again we can clearly produce working drawings, detailed drawings, we can produce assembly drawings, all that type of thing, so 3D drawings. Clearly all of these start off at all the basic part drawings, all that type of thing. So we're just going to look at how we create our camera. That's going to be our first one. So before we start, we then just need to click on the Onshape logo. First thing you do is create, and then you want to create a new document. So I would call this camera. I'm going to have to call it version 1 because I've already got one drawn. So I'll call it camera, and that will then bring up our first drawing page. As I say, it's called a Part Studio. What we've got here, because we're going to be drawing in 3 dimensions, we've got 3 work planes. So you can see if I hover over it, you've got this top plane, which is like the floor, the front plane, which is like a wall at the front, and then a right plane, which is a wall to the right, if you imagine that. So like 3 imaginary pieces of paper that we can create sketches on and work from there. So to start our drawing, we're going to start the camera. We always start off with a sketch, so we can't do anything without sketching out the shape we want first. We then extrude that or cut that from our work plane. So we're going to start off with a new sketch, and you can see it then prompts us to select one of the sketches, one of the work planes to actually draw on. So I'm going to use the top work plane to start with, and then I'm going to go across the top here. You'll see when I've selected that, you've got these drawing icons. So again, we've got line, rectangles, circles, curves, all that type of thing, all going along. Again, everyone that's got an arrow next to it means it's got more options underneath. So again, you'll get used to using that. To start with, for this drawing of the camera, we're going to use center point rectangle. So make sure you've clicked center point rectangle, and then we're going to drag over our mouse and then hover over the origin. This is basically where all these work planes cross over. I tend to work a lot from the origin. It makes assemblies a lot easier. So I'd probably get into the habit of starting that way. So left click, and I'm then going to drag out a rectangle. At the moment, it doesn't really matter what size that rectangle is, as long as it's somewhere in proportion, because we're going to dimension it now. You could actually hover over these boxes and click on that. But I tend to dimension, just get into the habit of dimension using this dimension tool. When you get confident, you'll see that you can actually dimension it straight away off the drawing, but I tend to go to dimension, hover over the line, it selects it and it goes orange, left click, and then just drag the dimension away. So for our camera, the first dimension we want is 130 millimeters. We're then going to dimension the shorter length. So again, hover over it, left click, drag out the dimension, and our dimension should be 45 mil for the width. Once we're happy with that dimension sketch, we then click the confirm button, the tick box. We're then ready to extrude it. So again, you'll see that the icons have now changed to feature icons. So I could extrude, I could revolve, I can sweep along shapes, I can loft things, but we tend to do a lot of extrusions and revolve. So we'll start off with the first one. Again, it comes up with this pop-up box. It's telling me, it's prompting me, everything in blue is prompting me to do something. So I've then got to select the sketch I want to extrude. Extrusion basically means I pull it out of that work plane. So you'll see if I click on it, it gives me a highlight. You can see Onshape defaults to 25 mil. I could use it as a sort of design sketching tool by dragging it up and getting the sort of idea that way, just using the arrow. I tend to use it a lot for a bit more detailed drawing, so I'm actually going to write the dimension I want in the box. So the height of our camera is 70 mil, so I'll then do 270, and that creates the very basic shape ready for adding the other details on. Once you're at that stage, a couple of different things you might want to know. If you want to rotate, if you hold down your right mouse button and then rotate around, that'll obviously revolve it and allow you to rotate it. If you have a mouse and you've got a wheelie button in the middle, if you zoom in and out using that middle mouse button and wheeling in and out that middle mouse button, if you click and hold down your middle wheel mouse button, that'll allow you to pan it on the screen, so you can get it sort of central on screen like that. So that's the basic mouse functions.